Good afternoon, everybody. Unfortunately, for some reason, I didn't manage to get hold of Mark Hoddenot, but maybe tomorrow. I know it was going to be after 10 o'clock for him, and maybe he needed a bit of rest and relaxation rather than having to put up with me for potentially half an hour or more. Can't blame him, I suppose. So hopefully you enjoyed that little clip of Dolores, which I think is very, very poignant, very, very true. And, you know, when it comes to perjury, you know, Bobby Dassey ticks that box absolutely. Even confirmed by Barb, you know, who, yep, maintains that none of her family had anything to do with it. This thing, whatever. Of course, you have to kind of quantify what is it that they had nothing at all to do with. Certainly when it comes to helping the state wrongfully convict Stephen Brendan, well, Bobby was the star witness. So again, the question to Barb will always be, you know, having, you know, heard them give testimony, Bobby and Scott, in Steve's trial, are you happy with what they said? Are you happy that their statements changed so dramatically? I'm sure that the state have got leverage over Bobby. One would hope that at some point, though, we will reach the tipping point whereby that leverage diminishes, and the leverages, I suppose, that Kathleen Zellner has got will outweigh those of the state, and he will get in touch with Kathleen and tell her exactly what his involvement was in the disappearance of Teresa and the framing wrongful conviction of Stephen Brendan. In the meantime, I managed to find a very early Erekose video, which actually does start off with that iconic piece of rock music at the beginning. And I remember when he decided, having listened to Charlie Berens, to slightly change what he says at the beginning. So here he is in a kind of relaxed voice. Later on, he did a slightly sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Just a you know, a more Charlie Berens type introduction with more vigor, I suppose I'm looking for. Anyway, here is the dude talking about the lack of blood in the trailer, and perhaps his suggestion that Steve used bleach and rug doctor, which is, yeah, it's pretty farcical, isn't it? Anyway, let's click on that button there. Let's click on share sound. Let's click on that button there, that one there. Move me out of the way, up to the top there. Let's go for the full screen experience and listen to the music.
Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Erekose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. Hello folks, we're here today talking a little bit more about making a murderer, of course. As you all know, one of my biggest issues with the Avery case, hands down, is the blood. Either the way that it is found where it is found, or the fact that it's not found where it should be found. But so that's what we're here to talk about today. So mainly what we're going to talk about here is the fact that, if you remember in my my video about Xander Road, I talked about the fact that nobody ever smelled anything from this fire at Avery Salvage. Okay? that is a problem. That smell should have been there. Okay? Especially when you've got people that don't live at Avery Salvage reporting that they're seeing a fire. Okay? If they're close enough to see it, they're close enough to smell it. Okay? And I'm pretty sure that everybody realizes at this point that it's pretty much completely accepted that when a body burns, it smells very badly, very vile. It's inescapable. It's very unpleasant. You would not forget about it. Okay? Just saying. So, that brings us to this next bit. While we're on the topic of things that should be there that aren't, like the smell of a body burning, for instance, well, now we're going to address Mr. Kratz and his claims, okay, that Stephen Avery cleaned up the trailer with a rug doctor and bleach, right? A rug doctor and bleach, right? Which means the rug doctor takes a lot of, like commercial strength chemicals that you put into it, whatever that it uses to pull crap out of your carpet, okay? So these chemicals have a very, very strong smell to them, and they linger, okay? They don't just dissipate as soon as you're done. No, you're using this rug doctor thing that actually shoots water and chemicals into your carpet and then sucks that water out of the carpet. Those chemicals kind of stay on your carpet, okay? That scent lingers, okay? Especially if you're using bleach on like countertops and other hard surfaces. Bleach absolutely lingers. It lingers. It would have lingered for at least 4 or 5 days at least. And I would imagine it probably would have lingered a lot longer because it's not like Stephen Avery was a clean freak, okay? We all know that he wasn't, okay? So, the reason why I bring that up, that Stephen is not a clean freak, and that's what makes the fact that there's no smell of chemicals in his trailer all the more, fishy. Now, you got to imagine he didn't clean up on, if the prosecution's, narrative were to be believed, you got to imagine, obviously, he wasn't cleaning up probably on the 31st. He was probably most likely getting around to it on the 1st. So that means the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th would have only been 3 days after he did this supposed cleanup. Okay, within 3 days, you would have still smelled all of those chemicals. You would have smelled them. But obviously, because there's chemicals in there that clean and pull dirt and grime out of stuff, they tend to leave that chemically kind of smell that you would recognize. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is that Link and Remaker were at Stephen's house, his trailer, on the 4th. Neither one of them reports anything like any kind of smell that they would, and trust me, a clean smell would have stood out to them. Okay, like I said, Stephen Avery is not a clean freak. Okay, if they had walked into that trailer and it was like Martha Stewart's house, ding, 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 right? Okay, so that's what I'm getting at here. It would have stood out, but it's not mentioned. Just like the smell for the fire. Not mentioned. The fact that it's not mentioned pretty much means to me that it never happened. It didn't happen there anyway. Didn't happen there. So, I'm going to go ahead and move into right now these excerpts from Lang's testimony, Remaker's testimony, and an excerpt from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department's reports. Okay, not KSO, MTSO. So anyways, we're going to be showing you a clip from that, and I'm going to show you how neither of them thought there was anything awry at Stephen's house on the 4th. In fact, Stephen was all too happy for them to come in and look around. He was even going to let them go in without him. He was just like, yeah, go ahead, let yourself in. No worries, go ahead. But Remaker was like, no. I would prefer that you're with us. So Stephen Dolores followed them down to Stephen's trailer. Apparently, it sounds like Dolores stayed outside, maybe stayed on the golf court while Stephen went in with them or something, because nobody reports Dolores being in there. Not that it's a big deal. She didn't need to be there. So Link stands in the living room with Stephen while Remaker's running into the back bedroom. You know, that back bedroom where Teresa was raped on the bed and where there's no marks of shackles on the bedposts or anything at all that in any way points to the scene that is in the prosecution's narrative. So he's back there. He checks it all out. He goes through the whole trailer looking around. Now, if there had been cleaning chemicals used, he would have noticed. He would have noticed. So that's what we're going to show you here, folks. And then I'll come back one more time and we'll wrap it up.
A lot of people don't know this, but the best way to make money with Amazon in 2021 is not by selling physical products.
Lieutenant Link was contacted by CASO Investigator Wiegert. Investigator Wiegert requested that we make contact at the Avery residence in an attempt to obtain further information. Lieutenant Link and I went to 12932 Avery Road, Two Rivers, where we attempted to make contact. After a short period of time, it was determined that no one was at the residence. A short time later, we observed two individuals entering the property. One of the individuals was identified as Stephen Avery. Stephen was very cooperative, and we asked him numerous questions about his observations of the female subject from the auto trader. Stephen stated the female subject has been on the property numerous times and took photographs of vehicles which are to be listed for sale. Stephen indicated that he observed the female subject operating a smaller green SUV. After asking Stephen if it was possibly a Toyota RAV4, he indicated that he believed that was the vehicle she was operating. Stephen stated she was on the property a very short period of time. He believed the time may have been approximately 1400 to 1430 hours, which is 2 to 2:30 on 10/31/05. Stephen indicated that the vehicle which was being photographed was a maroon in color van that was near his residence. Stephen was not able to provide any further information in regard to Teresa Hallbach. A short time later, I asked Stephen if he would be willing to provide us with a verbal consent to do a quick interior search of his residence. Stephen immediately volunteered to provide us with the consent to go into his residence. At 10:30 hours, Stephen allowed us into his residence. I did a swift interior search of the residence, including the closets and additional interior rooms. I did not locate any signs of suspicious activity. The consent search was completed and we were out of the Avery residence. Okay, this is from the testimony of James Link about him and Remaker going to Stevens. At this point, Stephen Avery was just a person of interest. Yes, sir. So you two went out to Mr. Avery's? Yes, sir. He was cooperative? Yes, he was. Then Detective Remmer asked you folks if he could do a walkthrough of his house, and he said sure, or words to that effect. Correct. Gave you his consent, as they say. Yes, sir. He walked through the entire house quickly. David Remaker walked through the house. Yes, sir. You stayed outside? I stayed in the living room with Mr. Avery. So you see there, James Link clearly he was in the house. He would have been able to smell any kind of chemical smell too. So you got two officers in there that certainly could have smelled this. So got to be wondering, the fact that they don't detect it tells me that Ken Kratz is full of crap. That he's trying to claim that Stephen cleaned this up. But I mean, think about it. Think about everything that they're claiming Stephen can do. Stephen can clean up a crime scene better than a forensic crime scene technician. Are you kidding? But put that aside, they don't smell the chemicals that would be needed, and that is huge. Okay, this is Remaker being questioned by Jerry Buting. Did you ask for something called consent or permission to enter Stephen Avery's residence itself? Yes. And did Mr. Avery give you that consent? Yes. Why don't you tell the jury what you did then? After we received consent? Yes. Steve told us that we could go into the residence and take a look. I said, I want you to come with me. I don't want to just go in there alone. So he followed us. We drove our vehicle up to the residence, and I think Steve and Dolores drove up in the golf cart, and we went to the door, and Steve opened the door and allowed us in. Lieutenant Link stayed kind of in the living room area with Steve. I don't recall if Dolores was in the residence or not. And I went into the back bedroom. I was obviously, at that point, I'm looking for Teresa. I'm looking for a body. I'm looking for a human being. And I walk around the residence to see if I could find a person. Did you find any persons in that residence? No. About how long did this entire encounter take, if you recall? We arrived on the property, my notes indicated 10-20 hours, and we were completed with the consent search being out of the residence, done searching at 10:35. I was in his residence for about 5 minutes. All right, at the time, Detective Remaker, did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Avery had been involved in this missing persons case? In other words, other than information that you'd received from Calumet County? No, he said. He did not have he said he had contact with her. He said that she had been in his residence, and he had paid her for her services and said, "Hi, how are you doing?" and some small talk. Other than that, I had no reason to believe that Steve was guilty of anything. Did you and Lieutenant Link talk about this very thing? Yes. What did you two talk about? I think my comments were, I think Calumet County is barking up the wrong tree. I don't remember my exact words. At the time, I didn't have any reason to believe that Steve had anything to do with it. Did Lieutenant Link make any comments to you about, well, we've got to make sure that Steven's involved or that he did it or anything like that? I think we were both in agreement at the time that Steve had nothing to do with it. That was just our feelings. So that's two people that were in that residence and felt that Steven was not involved, which clearly tells me they did not smell a chemical smell, because like I said, it would have sent off, red flags, bells and whistles, whatever, ding, 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 so that's where we're at with that. All right, so I want to give a big shout out to Redditor Haas. Gave me a bit of help with this here, and basically want to say that, what's important here is sometimes it's not just important about what's there, what's physically there, or what is detected. Sometimes it's about what's not there or what's not detected. And that's what I'm talking about with the smell of the fire and with the smell of the chemicals that are supposedly in Steven's trailer. Because King Kratz is running all around telling us all on radio shows and on Dr. Phil and on Dr. Oz about how Steven cleaned this place up with a rug doctor and bleach. Okay? But it doesn't fit. It doesn't wash. This is the prosecution's narrative that they came up with. And their own officers don't support it. Not that they're supposed to necessarily, but clearly, if there was a cleanup done in that trailer, Lank and Remaker would have detected that. They would have detected a smell. Okay, and trust me, as I've said before, okay, if you walk into somebody like Stephen Avery's trailer and it suddenly smells like Martha Stewart's house, that's gonna send up some red flags. It's gonna make you go, whoa, why does it smell like a garden breeze in here, or something? You know what I mean? It's just not typical for Stephen Avery, so it would have stood out. Okay, so that's what I'm getting at here. That was the whole point of what I was making this video for, is because I am so sick and tired of listening to King Kratz talk about Stephen cleaned up this trailer with a freaking rug doctor and bleach. It's just laughable. So, hey, you all know I love refuting King Kratz, so every time I get the opportunity, you'll see me here. Anyways, hey, I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And, obviously we'll see you next time. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe.
Well, there we go. Interesting. I watched, I think it was yesterday or the day before, a video by Linda Kay on her channel, Checking Convictions. And it's partly an interview with Rob Bellin, who a lot of you will know. And he talks about that very same thing, about the fact that early on in the investigation, they're suggesting that, oh no, there was no tunnel vision at all, barking up the wrong tree, and, they've got this wrong, and Steve wasn't a suspect. You kidding me? They find the RAV4 and they're asking, is Stephen Avery in custody yet? Aye, right. Anyway, these dogs are going berserk about something, so I'm going to say cheerio, and hopefully, as I say, we'll catch up with Mark in the not too distant future, possibly tomorrow. Anyway, take care. See you soon. Bye for now.